Hello, I'm Loren Sederstrom. I'm the host of the All Around Grant Show. Today we have a full-packed show for you. We're going to be talking everything from petitions to parades and charter commissions. So, my co-host here is Larry Lanoux. He's with me today, and we're going to start off, I thought, with a very interesting letter to the editor that was just in this last Wednesday's White Bear Press, if I could. It says, Destroying Property Value by Donald Kemp. Delwood, after attending a number of Grant Town Hall meetings this year led by Mayor Tom Carr and then reading subsequent articles written in your paper, I am left befuddled, wondering if anyone in your paper actually attended those meetings. In any case, the conclusions one would draw after reading your reports indicate a complete denial of what the majority of local residents feel and sadly misses the real story. Regarding the proposed private hockey rink with parking and locker rooms enough for 2 complete teams, if there was any disrespect or rudeness displayed during the meeting, it was a direct result of Mayor Carr's actions and his sophomoric leadership style. He and his friends, despite opposition by the majority of those citizens affected, rammed the Delwood Barn project down everyone's throats with complete and reckless disregard to our rights. Although legal, the fact is a party barn was approved by Carr in the name of, quote, anyone can do what they want with their own property, unquote. Like many who buy homes, we all invest significant amount of our capital into our properties and expect the government to at least not destroy the value created. As he lives nowhere near here, the previous actions displayed by the mayor indicate he could care less how much value he and his people destroyed in Grant, Delwood, and Hugo with his pet project. Well, this time the citizens were prepared when it was learned that one more ill-conceived, potentially adversely affecting the value of the neighborhood was being proposed. Given the unprofessional manner by which the Delwood Barn project was handled, it would have been no surprise to anyone if opinions were expressed with gusto when discussing the, quote, private, unquote, hockey rink. Having lived here for many years and knowing that most of my neighbors, it would be out of character for them to be rude or disrespectful. If they were, I would forgive them. So it isn't just a few people harping about this. We have 3 cities up in arms going about that. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to be talking about a court order that was issued, I believe it was June 16th, okay? And the court file is number 82-CV-13-4629. So it's a public document, and if you don't believe me, folks, go on and search the court date. Basically what it said was, if I was to sue the city of Grant again, I must use a licensed attorney. Otherwise, I have no fees to pay. It also says the administrator clerk has to attend seminars put on by the League of Minnesota Cities to discuss data practices in violation of open meeting laws. And it then states she must make a presentation at a normal city council meeting that was televised or cablecast without exception. The third thing they had to do was devise a pamphlet going over violation of open meeting law and data practices and have it okayed by my attorney, Diana Laundrie. Then they had to, after it's been okayed by my attorney, it has to be placed in a conspicuous space with notification in the city hall and available at the city offices. Okay, so now you've got that, okay? So that is what happened. Here is the court order. You can probably see the notary stamp on the top. Now, let's fast forward to the 8/21 newspaper article in the St. Paul Pioneer Press on page 4A. And I have that here, a copy of that. City officials ordered to study open meeting laws. Mayor, 2 council members were accused of secret decision-making. A lawsuit filed by Loren Sederstrom, a Grant resident and self-appointed watchdog, focused on the meeting of Mayor Tom Carr, council members Tuna Loban and Jeff Huber on January 8th. He accused the 3 who together made up a voting majority of the council of discussing staff appointment and deciding in advance who they would select without informing other members. Judge Hausman dismissed the claims of the lawsuit, but wrote in his June 19th order that the city clerk needs to go to training, etc. He outlines that. This is a quote from our mayor. Carr said the clerk, Kim Points, attends ongoing courses as part of her duties, but wasn't sure if or when her report would be placed on the council agenda. Further in the article, he says, Carr said, a pamphlet already exists and wasn't sure the city would be drafting a new one. Folks, I think I don't have a great legal knowledge, but I have a minute amount of knowledge, and I believe that is called contempt of court. But we're going to see how this develops, and then we have one video clip. This was repeatedly going on the city agenda, is Sederstrom versus the city of Grant. I repeat, I did not sue the city of Grant. I sued the individual members in their capacity for their wrongdoing, okay? So this clip where our city attorney, Nick Vivian, finally corrects the agenda. Control room, if you'd play that, please. Here we go. Sound?
At all, it's listed on the agenda as Sederstrom versus the City of Grant, which all the members were sued in their council capacities, but the actual title is Sederstrom versus Carr, Huber, Lohman, et al.
Okay, and the proper motion would be adjourned to close.
There we go, folks. And I did videotape that closed session, but we have so much today, we can't show those. We have 26 minutes of video to show you folks. We have so much going on. But before I go on any further, one of the things I do want to mention, for those of you out there, remind you of the Great Grand Tractor Parade on Saturday, September 6th. It's going to be a good time. It isn't just for tractors. It can be anything wheeled. We want spectators. Line the thing. It's a really fun parade. It's the only parade that the people pass each other. Then we all come back for a picnic lunch at the Gost House, and they're very kind and wonderful to us. This is the 5th year we've had it on. So,
Loren, I'd like to touch on it. Just, the purpose of the Grant Restoration Project is to protect our rights, and both our property and civic rights that have recently been violated with disregard often, and that's what's gotten us going. We want to preserve our rural heritage, our right to go out and hunt and fish in our city if we want to. So we have to preserve our rural heritage and promote citizen participation. And this year we're honoring Ulysses S. Grant, the namesake of our city, along with our veterans and our past civic leaders, and specifically our Grand Marshals, Bob and Diane Hagstrom. So come out to the parade, meet them, and we'd love to have his all show up. Thank you. Moving on.
We want to show Tom Carr's modus operandi, the way he does things behind the scenes.
I've got 2 documents, and I'm going to see if they can't pull these up on the screen. And one of them is, it's called a Special City Council Workshop. And as we have it, it'll say to discuss a cell tower moratorium, the discussion of the supper club conditional use permit, and discussion of the Delwood planning barn. But if you look at item number 4, regular agenda item number 4, it was to dissolve the planning commission.
Go to the next one.
And so go on there, and what I want to tell you is that he had a special meeting, the Mayor Carr, and he did that in order to number one, and run the planning commission or the charter commission. He felt it wasn't important to be there.
Second of all, he did it called the special meeting on a night that the charter commission was supposed to be in session. So in other words, no one else would be there to watch him and see what he was doing. Unfortunately, people showed up. I've got the DVD, etc. So go to your next one.
Well, before I go to the next one, Loren, I want to talk to you. We did review that DVD from that meeting, and the discussion about dissolving the planning commission in its entirety is not on the city's DVD that's out there for us.
So it might have been edited out.
Yeah, we can't say it, but that was a discussion that night. So the next item I'd like to have, and I have it on the screen here, and it's a notice of a special city council meeting, and it is to dissolve the charter commission. Now, the city did not have a duty to call a special meeting. The petitioners put together a petition. It was deemed illegal, so Tom Carr made sure that he could call a special meeting. Now, if he, as a member of the Charter Commission, he didn't have a duty to bring that forward at all. he simply he simply could have had that meeting and not had it at all, and let the charter move forward as planned. So Tom Carr has been very instrumental in trying to, in my opinion, we don't have a democracy. We're having more of a dictatorship, and it's apparent the Burger King hat's getting a little too tight.
Well, if I can also, there was a newspaper article in 822, vote on disbanding Charter Commission residents, turned in petition on move. Of course, this was done by his lapdog, Bob Tufty, who follows him around like a puppy, you know. And it says, Mayor Tom Carr, who sits in the commission, said the petition is given to the council this week, started by citizens who have concerns, which is his little sidekicks. In my issue, it scares me a little bit to see that people who are appointed by judge, not elected by voters, how they act and when they get in this, have some power. Well, Tom Carr's been running the scenes with an iron hand. He is a mayor with weak mayor power. So in other words, he can't do things without the support, but he doesn't realize that, and he just does a number of things. But that is in the Friday 8/22/14 thing. We have so much to cover here today. We have to go on. And we now will, you heard me mention the name Bob Tufty. I have a brief clip on him saying about him getting it on the ballot. So if control room will play the clip, we'll see that talk on the other side.
To get put on the next election ballot the question of whether or not we should have a charter commission. It took getting quite a few signatures to get that accomplished, and I did so, but I was very surprised to find out both before and after I got involved with the petition, how few people have any idea of what a charter commission is, or that we even had one going. They just didn't know. So my goal in this is to get before the public, all the people of Grant, the right to say whether they want a charter commission or not. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's been accomplished because it's going to appear on the November 4th election ballot.
There. Well, there's a lot he's not saying. What is supposed to happen is the city is supposed to allow the Charter Commission to have $1,500 a year to publish information. This, Tom Carr and his city council will not let them meet in the city hall, so they have to meet in the Montemedi City Hall. They will not give them a dime. And this will come out later in the other clips we have about, we have an attorney saying he knows 5 cities and they all help with this.
Moving forward, Loren, I'd like to touch on something, and this is an article that was, folks, written in the White Bear Press. And the article was written from a reporter that actually was at that particular meeting, at the council meeting, when they brought the first illegal petition. It says, and this is, it's a petitioner, Robert Tufty, states, the petition is not to dissolve the Charter Commission, but to get it on a referendum November 4th. There are things about the charter I don't like, such as a judge appointing its members. This is the only time residents of Grant will have a say. Once the charter is in place, it can't be changed. Now, folks, once the charter is in place, you can change it. The question isn't to get the charter on the ballot. It simply is to dissolve it. So Mr. Tufty is very misleading. And one more, Loren, I know we're pressed for time here, but it will be. But our city attorney states, this is also taken from the minutes of that council meeting, I have no idea what the intention behind this question was, said attorney Nick Vivian from Eckberg Lammers. It is our job to let the residents of Grant make a decision on the question. Well, folks, if you've not been provided a charter and understand it, how can you make an informed decision? And the rest of this tape will explain why you don't have the information to work.
If control room could play the next clip, please.
So I just want to add one more element to all of that. There are a number of times soon after that I had hoped to address our city council about that on public comment. The first time I filled in the form, I apparently filled it in incorrectly, and I meant no disrespect to the person that I addressed, but I did make a factual comment that someone had disbanded the Planning Commission, and by naming our mayor's name in my request, that was seen as disrespectful. And none was meant, none was intended, ever. And so I felt a little bad that I didn't get a chance to say the things that I thought were appropriate, given the change that had just happened. Not long after that, I called our mayor on the phone, and everyone has bad days, me included. That was not a good day, and so that phone call didn't go very well. There have been other meetings since then. I've tried to address the city on this issue. I won't go into that detail, but including this week, and maybe it didn't fit this week, but at any rate, I'll move on. I am not a big government guy. I am all about small government, not having a lot of bureaucracy, not having a lot of layers. But I am all about having balance in what we do, and I think having a planning commission, or in this case, a charter commission, is not just a good idea, it's a great idea. And just looking at the people that are sitting on this board, I think it's a fabulous group of people with great insight, and I think it's something very positive for our city. I do not understand why this is being recalled, if you will. I don't know if that's the appropriate language. I understand the petition is a legal document, and City Council really didn't have a whole lot of decision to make on Monday night. They had to move forward with it. But whatever and whoever is behind it, whether overtly or covertly, I think it's wrong, and I think this Charter Commission is important to our city in so many ways because it provides balance to our city. And most certainly, we won't be the only one, wouldn't be the only one that has a Charter Commission. They're fairly ubiquitous in Minnesota, and most certainly they're valuable to a number of cities, and they should be. This should be valuable and continued here. So I won't speak.
There. That is a citizen speaking out that was on the Planning Commission. But now we have to set up for the next clip, okay? So you have to understand what's going on with this clip. This next clip is of Dave Tronrud. He is the councilman on the city council that was appointed to fill Scott Fogelson's position. Now, mind you, he is the Tom Carr's partner in flipping houses. When he was put on the city council, he was here less than 1 year, okay? He lived in the city less than a year. They went over Dan Potter, who served on the Planning Commission and was a councilman for 4 years. He said, hey, I'll step up and do that if Fogelson's leaving because I'm familiar with it. Well, they put this guy in, and you will see by this next clip, and listen carefully because there's 2 or 3 people getting in there talking about what's going on in the city. It's a rather long clip, so if Control Room could play the clip, we'll go on.
Website.
So which one of you do I address a Freedom of Information Act request to
You
get
can
copies of
address
your
it
minutes
to
and that
me.
sort of thing? Okay.
You can address it to me.
Is your address posted someplace so we can do that, so the general public can do
didn't
that?
fund us. You gave us no money, so we had no money to post it. Maybe that was before you were on the council.
Some
Some
of those
cities,
are- yeah.
hang on a second, some cities have a different interpretation than your city attorney, and they provide their charter commission with money. Your city vetoed that and said that we only have $1,500. Now, that document, it can be interpreted a different way, and other cities provide money to allow this kind of stuff. So you're kind of a Johnny-come-lately to this thing. And, being on the council, you should have realized what the heck is going on. And you would have known that had you read the minutes, talked to your other fellow councilmen. To come here,
You know, I take exception to that because
I know you take
I do
exception
know
to
what's
it.
going on, but I don't think the general public knows what's going on, and that's partly their fault. They should all
your
be
fault,
here.
because your council voted not to fund us or give us any ability to do things. We had to come to the city of Montemita for a meeting place. So we could tape it, so people could, if they wanted to see it, view the tape.
Yeah, well, it's mine.
So
Yep.
don't be blaming us for not having things.
I'm
Now,
not
if you had
blaming,
been here
I'm
before,
here asking as a
if
resident.
you have been here before, you would have heard that what we plan to do is we plan to try to get a charter together, and once we get a charter together, we're going to hold a number of public meetings as many places as we can so we can have the public input on the charter. Now, we've said that from the get-go, and that was one of our main things that we were going to do.
I'm sure
Now,
that'll happen, but
we
the
don't have
charter's
the
not there
ability.
yet. Now
We don't
people
have the
a
ability.
question.
We don't have the ability to have the press here and have the reporter here and get them to publish things, because we have to pay for that if we want it published. If we say to the White Bear Press, we want this published. We've asked the reporters to come here and report on what we're doing. They have not. So we're kind of in a quandary, and we're in a quandary because your city attorney interpreted a document unlike the city of South St. Paul, the city of Inver Grove Heights, the city of Stillwater, and all these other cities that have a charter commission. They provide this kind of information and flow. So we will provide you a document, but we don't have any money. So if we print something, we print it at our own expense. The document that we're all looking at tonight was printed by me in my office. I printed it at my own expense. And that's how we all got a document together, because we don't have any money. We haven't spent one dime.
Yeah, well, I'd be willing to pay for my copy. I mean, that's the way the Freedom of Information Act requests often follow. I don't see the issue of that for a Xerox copy of a document. as an
Councilman
expense.
Conrad, may I interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
You've made some comments here relative to dissemination of information. I want to read to you the last paragraph of the Grant newsletter, spring 2013. It was before you were on the council. But it says, there is no time frame on getting this charter drafted. Several communities have had charters for years without a charter being drafted and finalized. It will be an interesting process, and we will be reporting the progress as we go forward. For updates, visit our new website, www.cityofgrant.us. Now, I ask you, you are now the website and newsletter editor, are you not?
Correct.
Have you published anything?
No.
Have you sought to seek information?
Yeah, I've been to one meeting, but I have not published anything.
But your document, you have to be put on the last website newsletter.
Yeah, I didn't, well, we can go back and forth forever
Did-
here,
did-
but I didn't write that in that spring newsletter.
No, this was signed by the mayor. But did I not send to you, and did you not communicate to me that you would publish the letter that I sent to you, which invited the public and the citizens of this community to come to our meetings? And was that not published?
I don't recall if I.
You don't recall?
I didn't promise to publish anything verbatim that you sent to me.
Did you receive the request?
What?
Did you receive the request?
Yeah, likely.
Pardon?
Likely, I'd have to review my email.
And I have it in my email if you'd like to see it.
I believe it.
Loren,
There we
if
go.
I can interrupt, I actually have the request, and folks, I'm not going to read it to you, but you can see it was a nice article we put in our city newsletter, and they'll kind of touch on and see what the city actually did put in there. But I also have the minutes from January this year where David Tronroot indeed was appointed as newsletter editor. Jack asked him, are you the webmaster and the newsletter editor? And he said, well, yes, I am. Folks, he's not the webmaster. So he doesn't understand what his position, and if you go back to the last city newsletter, you'll see it's not even his name signed on the bottom. He put his ghostwriter in there, Jeffrey Huber. He doesn't even know how to sign his own name on the
Well, I
bottom.
think if you look in the dictionary and look up the word confusion or confused, you'll probably have a picture of him next to it. But anyway, going on. So you see, he doesn't know what's going on. He's the sidekick of Tom Carr. He seconds things. Tom Carr makes a motion, and he either looks at Tina Lobin or Dave Cronroot. Is that a second? So he gets his seconds, gets it in. Tom's running this city just about single-handedly. He's got a couple, like I said, dupes in there, propping
And
him up.
It would be all right if he thought he came there to serve an apprenticeship, but he's not even serving an apprenticeship, folks. He's simply taken his the mayor's lead, and he's articulating Tom's wishes.
And he doesn't even know what's going on. Okay, look, let's play. Well, we'll have Steve Bonin on the next one. If we can play that clip, please.
I'm here in good faith to work on this, what the judge asked me to do. But I do believe that our meetings have been railroaded in directions that have not been productive for the writing of our charter. And I do believe we've been denied some just very appropriate uses of City Hall and that sort of thing, and I'm not going to go into what my thoughts are there. But in the end, we are here, we're doing what the court asked us to do, the court is doing what the council asked them to do. So, that's all I have to say on this matter.
There. So it's really interesting that the city council put this forward, and now the mayor is trying to scuttle it. One of the big reasons that the mayor is against this is one of the things that was placed in the charter is we want to follow our comprehensive plan and not have sewer and water into the city until 2030. The mayor currently is violating the comprehensive plan on various fronts, and he's single-handedly doing that. He created 38 commercial properties within the city of Grant. And these two CUPs that he was advocating for are in the northwest corner by Delwood and Hugo, the absolute extreme. So he's basically trying to rip apart the fabric of the city of Grant, the way the sewer system's tearing apart Lake Elmo. Pretty soon, we're going to have sewer and water jammed down our throat, and people are going to lose properties like my mother did back in the 60s when the sewer and water went through. The house was worth $24,000 and it was on a swamp, 3 acres high, 5 acres low. The assessments were $39,000. Guess what? And that's what's going to happen to the people of Grant if they don't
Loren,
wake
we're
up.
not only losing our houses, but you're going to be losing your right to hunt and fish in your own community. That's one of the things that we'll be losing. I want to go back to the resolution and keep in mind, while I was attending that meeting, Mayor Carr accused me of being a liar, and it's on that very meeting because I brought to him, I said, Tom, I says, it was a city that wanted this, and they deemed it to be in their best interest. So, folks, what I want to tell you is, and this is what I was reading into the minutes there, Resolution 2013-08, resolution petitioning District Court for appointment of a Charter Commission in accordance with Minnesota Statute 410. Now, therefore, be resolved by the City of Grant, Minnesota as follows. The Grant City Council deems it in its best interest of the city to petition the District Court for appointment of a Charter Commission. So when you bring facts to Tom and in minutes, he calls you a liar. So he's delusional.
I've been called a liar in the White Bear Press a number of times. Oh, these people that lie. Everything I say, ladies and gentlemen, is backed up by the official DVD from the City Council. I don't tape it, I buy it. And it's also backed up, cross-referenced with the minutes from the City Council. Now, lately, some things have been being omitted in some of those things, so it's getting a little shaky because Tom Carr doesn't want to lose control. He's in cahoots with Gary Erickson, in my opinion, the former mayor.
I think people should understand that it was Mayor Erickson that brought the petition in for action, the former mayor. And if you look right above Tom, I'm not too sure there aren't some strings being pulled someplace.
Like a marionette. We should start calling Tom Howdy Doody, you think? But anyway, we're going to go on. We've then at this council, they asked if Bob Tufte would recall his petition, and
allow the charter to run its natural course so we can take the time to educate the citizens.
Okay, control room, if you could play that would be great.
Draw their deal and let this thing do. Mr. Tufte, would you be willing to withdraw your petition and let this carry through and be finished to its completion?
For the multiple reasons that I did run the petition, the answer to your question is no. And the reason is it's going to go in there on the 22nd. It's going to be on the ballot. And you guys can each call your neighbors, go knocking door to door just like I can, and state your case. Why a charter commission is necessary for a city of 4,000 people. I don't understand why we need another level of government.
I don't think you can withdraw it anyhow because you've got all these other signatures and you can't speak for all these people that signed it.
I don't think I can either, no.
You'd have to have every person withdraw their signature. I don't think they can withdraw it.
There. We're going to have some other clips that are very interesting with this, but that's very interesting. They basically want to scuttle it before it goes. There's these small property owners. They don't care. They only have 100 feet on the of frontage, so that at $400 a foot, hey, that's only 40 grand. It isn't a big deal. Now, for other people, most people that have 10-acre minimums, that's
120,000.
well, it'd be more than that. It's closer to 150. It'd be 104, 130, or 142 or $45,000.
God forbid you have two roads on the side of your property, you get hit twice.
Well, I have 4,000 feet on the side of my 43 acres. It would be a cool 1.6 million that I would have to pay, and that isn't even hooking up to it. And again, we're trying to keep Grant rural. It's the gem of the Northeast. It's got a certain amount of exclusivity. People come out there, and I've been told by many people, the reason they don't have lake cabins, several people have told me, I don't have a lake cabin, but you know, when I get home from work, I'm on vacation. And it's that freedom, it's to pursue your hobby. I don't care if it's a pumpkin patch, if it's a go-kart track, if it's a horse arena, whatever it is. It could be a field of flowers with butterflies, and there are some people that raise monarch
All right,
butterfly
Loren.
pupa. But let's continue
Go
to
ahead.
go on. And we now have another long clip, so bear with us. This clip really points some things out with what's going on, if we could. So if we could
Done
play
with
the
this
next clip.
discussion, there is one subject that I would like to address. Okay?
Okay.
When you become part of an organization, particularly in this case when we were appointed by a district court, I think there's an element of commitment that is very high to the people who are participating in that organization. And I have no problems with differences of opinion and viewpoints within an organization. And those things are probably very beneficial because they bring different viewpoints and different perspectives. But I do have difficulty when outside of the organization, away from the meetings, actions are taken that throw a bad light on the organization and hinder it in its duties and its responsibilities. And I am really pointing towards the last newsletter in which, Tom, you mentioned, I would like to say that the majority of the people on the commission are trying to do the job that they were appointed to do, but several are not. I fear what this has turned into is a power struggle that has nothing to do what is good for Grant, nothing that is good for Grant. And that is a shame. Stay tuned for the final results, but so far it's not going well with the process, in my opinion. I think that's such a bad statement. I'm really dismayed that you would make such a statement, in contrast to the statement that you made in the spring of 2013, and I addressed that earlier. But there have been other issues that have hindered us and why we are now in a position of having to rush, and we've got a petition on top of that we're having to deal with. But I'm very surprised that you make this statement, because your attendance at these meetings have been not the best. In fact, they've been less than the best. And I tie all that together with other actions that I see, and I'm giving you my observations. That you've played a supportive role in denying the use of the hall, a city-owned facility, for a group that you requested to be appointed, not necessarily the candidates that you had liked, and you in support of this separate, distinct policy that has been divisive within this community. Failure to let charter members speak at the council meeting, I think, is another divisive an irresponsible act on your part. Denying the use of the administrator clerk to provide us assistance, I think, is another demonstration of hindering this body from doing its work. And I think that the role in admonishing the letters to the city attorney, to the chair of this commission, was blatantly bad. And the supportive effort behind the petition to disband the charter is another element that I see is another evidence of your unwillingness to participate in a sincere and honest fashion with this group. The failure to support the charter duties as outlined in Statute 410.07. I believe you took an oath to do that, and that statute talks about our duties of bringing together a charter, may or yea, nay. But in any case, it's a summation of things that have happened, in my opinion. And I am at a point where I do not feel that I can be trusting of you not to do some other thing as we move forward. And I would like to, at this point, let other ones comment if they will, or if not, I would like to propose a motion. So I've said what I have to say.
Madam Chair, can I respond?
Yes.
And I think, Jack, I really think you really said it all, and I would agree too that my comments had to do with exactly what you just said. There's been a consistent response from several of the people on the Charter Commission to focus on not the charter, but me, the council, filming, and everything else. My comments were about.
There, well, gee whiz, if they're supposed to be meeting in the city business, they're supposed to have a budget, a meager budget of $1,500, and the city, he proposed that they're supposed to be working for the city, and he's doing everything he can to fight it. What does that tell you? Ladies and gentlemen, it comes back to the saying that actions speak louder than words. And the actions of Mayor Tom Carr have been quite blatant. He's missed 4 or 5 meetings. He's tried to have special meetings on the nights that the charter was on so no one would be there. He's playing all these games with his special emergency meetings and behind the scenes and not giving proper notification. They just had a judgment against them from the Chief Justice of the 10th District Court for violation of open meeting law, and they have things spelled out. So ladies and gentlemen, this tells you what the type of behavior the mayor is engaged in.
All right, Loren, now I'd like to go back to that document, Resolution 2013, because Mayor Carr states he really didn't care who got elected to the, I was sitting at that meeting, folks, if you get the full tape. He says he didn't care who got appointed to the meeting. But actually, in this resolution, it says the Charter Commission shall consist of 9 members. It says, in accordance with Minnesota statute, the Grant City Council submits the names of the following eligible nominees for the court's consideration in appointing the Charter Commission: Mayor Tom Carr, Councilman Steve Bonin, Councilman Scott Fogelson, Councilman Jeff Huber, Councilman member Tina Loben. Now, folks, if you go back, just the next resolution he puts together is Resolution 2013-11. Of course, line 1 says the Grant City Council deems it in the best interest of the city to recommend citizens for appointments, but in accordance with the statute, the Grant City Council submits the names of the following eligible nominees for the court's consideration in appointing the Charter Commission: Becky Siegmeyer, Robert Tufte, Sharon Schwartz, Dan Potter, and Todd Berg. Folks, he submitted 10 names to the court for consideration for a 9-member panel. Don't tell me he didn't want a certain outcome.
Well, it's kind of apparent that Tom does not want to give up his power. As you realize, unless the mayor commits a felony, there's really no checks and balances. So what a charter is about is to having a constitution above the city to preserve citizens' rights. Okay, now we have another clip here that we're going to play. So if control room could play the clip, we'll discuss it on the other side.
Promoted this charter, maybe they could help us a little bit. I notice the signature of Councilman Huber, Councilman Tronsrud, Mr. Huber's wife, Mayor, your wife, on the petition to disband the charter at this late date. It just doesn't seem logical that the council would ask the charter to be appointed and then councilmen would ask to be disbanded. That's disheartening. It's disheartening when you're in a political situation and you have state representatives saying, what the heck is going on out in Grant? When you appear in front of other city council, they know that I'm serving on this charter, and they say, what the heck is going on, Grant? We tend to become a laughing stock. And it's disheartening for me to defend us. I have been defending us. But maybe we could move forward here. And the idea is to, as Jack says, to have, and everybody else says, let's have an open discussion about what's good for Grant. And maybe we could all pull on the same oar and have an open discussion, and we can vote this up or down. But I'd like to have a fair discussion and not a type of discussion where we're straddled with no money. I mean, all these councils that I go in front of, they give their charter commission money to publish. They're on the website. They help them. And we haven't had that assistance. And those attorneys for those cities say it's appropriate. And I read the statute, and our other lawyer read the statute that you could help. It's very clear in the statute that the city can help. So as we go forward, I would like to maybe take some lessons from all this and move forward and help one another and try to all pull on one oar.
Here, well, that's kind of interesting. We have two attorneys on the board, Jim Dorsey of Dorsey, that his grandfather started Dorsey Whitney, and Paul Rogaszewski, who's a very successful attorney. He represents one or two cities. He's a fairly prominent attorney. Now, they're both saying that the statute reads that we should be having the $1,500, which isn't a lot of money, but
Actually, the statute says that they have to provide $1,500, but if you talk to Paul, other cities do all the printing, the stuff, and it just says that you have to provide a minimum. They could give all the money you need to educate.
Well, not only that,
the
they have
charter
their city
if they
clerk
chose
help
to.
them. They have help on that, and we don't have that. But the next one we have is it's a 3-minute clip, but it goes over some things, and it's asking the mayor to be removed from the
Charter Commission.
Charter Commission. So if we could play that, control room.
Unless I hear it from Tom, I don't see any supportive role that Tom wants to play with the council. Here we are again this evening, we're talking about where we're going to meet. And, I think if Tom would have directed that council, hey, town hall is fine, it would have happened. Failure to let charter members speak at the council meetings. No rhyme or reason for that type of position to be taken towards citizens of this community, let alone members of this charter commission. And when you say you didn't care who was appointed, when I look at the resolutions that were drafted, you did care who was appointed to this commission. I mean, that's okay. I don't have any problem with that. The judge made the decision. But you did have a concern as to who was going to be appointed. You wanted 5 council people, including yourself, appointed, plus 4 others that you indicated. So you did have. And when you speak that way and you say that you didn't have any care who was appointed, you know, it doesn't ring quite true. You know, you have a problem with trust. And I don't see any assistance coming from the charter, from the administrative clerk. And like Paula said, most other cities provide that type of support. I don't see that changing, and unless you're going to tell me it's going to change. And the letters that were sent to the chair admonishing her by the city attorney, I thought, well, we all know where that direction came from. And we do know you've been supportive of disbanding this charter commission. So in my position, in my feeling, as good of a person as you are, the actions that you've taken, as far as I'm concerned, have been disruptive and have hindered the progress of this commission to the point where we are now scrambling to try and put it together parallel to a petition to disband it. So I don't see that you can make a reasonable contribution to us going forward unless you were to change your position on these points that I've made, and I don't think that's going to happen, Tom. And therefore, I'm going to make a motion that the chair of the City of Grant Charter Commission or her designate shall request of the district court that member Tom Carr be dismissed for reasons of absenteeism, disloyalty, and working against the Charter Commission.
There.
Loren, if I could interrupt you, I says, and Jack was asking, Mayor Carr, can you change? Can you work with the Charter Commission? Actually, you're the ones that petitioned court to become a Charter Commission. And he says, are you willing to change? And if you go back 2 years when Tom ran for mayor, he says, I want no change in Grant. Well, folks, take a look at not what they say, but what they do. Tom
Actions
has
speak
changed.
louder than words.
He's had very much change. He's disbanded the Planning Commission, one of the best planning commissions I believe we've ever had. They voiced separate and distinct voices from what Tom wanted. So he got rid of them. We completely disbanded.
Well, not only that, he's changed the city ordinances completely. Oh, we're just changing it into a C. Created 38 commercial properties in the city of Grant. Changed ordinances to okay supper clubs, okay special event centers. He's trying.
Ice arenas, you don't need a conditional use permit. So he says change. And folks, the biggest change Mayor Carr and the 3 realtors on our board are bringing to us is sewer and water. Don't kid yourself. That's why he wants to change. In the last year and a half, he's talked about putting in a fire department, and that will bring change because we'll need public sewer and water out there, and we'll get it from the city of Hugo. The supper club, if it would have been in the middle of the city asking for a supper club, he wouldn't have cared. But he is the one that asked Ed Schmidt to change his application as a country club, change it to a supper club, so that you'd need a bigger septic system, which he still hasn't gotten permission from. But folks, keep in mind, that's right on 96 in Manning. That's the main arterial road. He brought sewer and water. He forced Matamita to change its comprehensive plan to accept our sewer and water coming down 12. He's bringing it in from the north. He's going to dissect our city and make that so easy to take over.
Well, what's interesting, he's proposing this fire station cooperative thing in the city of Stillwater is creating a new fire station on the edge of the city of Grant. It's just
It's
right
on our
outside,
border. It's on
right
Manning
on our border.
Avenue.
7.2 million, and it's also going to have a training center. So why would
Tom Carr want to put one except to change and bring water to the north side of town?
Okay, let's go to the next clip. This is a little longer one too. If control room would play that, please.
Go to Washington County District Court, I run into district court judges, not the chief judge, but when I run into district court judges, they say, what the hell is going on out there? And if I brought a motion to enjoin this petition I think it would be successful. I don't have the time or the energy to screw around with that. And what I think is better is to show the citizens of Grant what a charter can do for them. That a charter could keep them rural. It's like the right to hunt and fish. And when you make it that simple and when you make people understand it, they might want a charter. And as I said before, I think it's very disconcerting and discourteous for people on the council to sign the petition when they ask for this. It's very difficult for me. And it's very difficult for me to have your wife's signature on that petition, Mayor. And I understand she's a human being and she has her
She
own
doesn't want
mind.
me to come to any more meetings. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well,
None of my family members would do that to me. I just, it's irritating. It's irritating that you have things published in the newspapers and you have things published in the newsletter, and there's nothing there about the Charter Commission. There is absolutely no support. It's like the City Council wants it dismissed. And what that sometimes says to me is, maybe we don't want to stay rural. Maybe we want development here. Maybe we want sewer and water. Maybe we'll change that comprehensive plan. Maybe all this talk about Grant being rural really isn't true. And that's what I thought this mission of the charter was from all the input that we had. So this is upsetting to me. And this is a very difficult thing that Jack has proposed, and I just want you to know how upset I am. And I'm upset when I go to the council as a Charter Commission member to be heard, and I get kicked off the agenda. That was rude. And so that's all I have to say.
That was Paul Rogaszewski. He's taken a lot of heat. Excuse me. And he was placed on the agenda, and they took him right off. Tom Carr wants no public input. That's why public comment is at the end of the meeting with the cameras shut off. If I would not bring a camera independently and videotape that, we would never have public comment. And you say, big deal, what's the significance of public comment? Well, that's time for citizens to give their concerns and make the city council aware. Because you may be watching the meeting and say, yeah, I noticed that stop sign down too, or I noticed that dangerous pothole in the road, or what about this, that, or another. It's a place where it's a forum where citizens can see and have common concerns. And Tom Carr doesn't want that. Why do you think they want to get rid of the Charter Commission? He doesn't want citizen input. Why did he get rid of the Planning Commission? He doesn't want a citizen input. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to begin to see a pattern of behavior here. He thinks he's got a Burger King hat, and I think it's getting way too tight. I mean, it isn't his city to run. He said at the Black Box Theater, well, everybody can stay home and I'll run the city. Well, obviously that's what he's doing.
Lauren, I want to give the citizens, because they might not be sure how that vote came, but I want to give you a little input on the vote of the movement to have Mayor Tom Carr removed from the Charter Commission. 3 members abstained from voting altogether. Chairman Barb Kelly, Commissioner Paul Rogaszewski, and Commissioner Dennis Strokridge abstained. Jack and I, Commissioner Jack Smith, and I voted to remove him. There were several votes, but the reason he was not removed is because we want this charter to be a success. We want this going forward. We want to show to the citizens that, yes, we do include other differences of opinions and viewpoints. So although we made a motion to have him removed, the majority of the people abstained because they didn't want to vote to remove him. We had the votes, we had the support to remove him. I find it ironic, the only one that did not abstain, the question was directed strictly about removing Mayor Carr. He did not abstain himself and remove himself. He voted to keep himself in. So it's very telling. We had the support to remove him. We didn't feel it would benefit the charter to do so. So at this point, it served much like a censorship going forward. But let me keep in mind, when it comes to control, I'll give you an example of control. When this charter commission was first formed, and it was put together by citizens that volunteered to sit on the committee, I was asked to be the chair of the charter commission. And although I thank the commission for their support, it was unanimous, I had the vote. Everybody voted unanimously to appoint me chairman of the commission. I recused myself. I said, folks, I thank you for your support, but this time I says, in order for the success of the Charter Commission, I respectfully decline the offer. I said, because it will be viewed as a political deal or a battle between Tom and I. I said, I'm not interested in a Burger King hat. My goal is to be successful in bringing this charter to its completion and allowing the citizens to vote on it. So I am the one that moved to nominate Chairwoman Barb Kelly, a 43-year resident in Grant who has served on a planning commission, to be our chairman. I didn't want it viewed as that, so I was asked to be the vice chair, and I did accept that position. Folks, I don't care about the Burger King hat. Loren and I, you can see behind us, are going to run for city council again, because when we say we don't want change, that's not what we mean. We actually do want change. We want to change our city council. We want to keep Grant rural, and you cannot keep the city of Grant without planning to keep it that way. And folks, we don't have a planning commission. We need inclusiveness.
We need a planning commission. We also, we need representation on with people on the council that have more than a 2-acre lot. They don't care. They have a whole different perspective. They don't
We have
understand
3 realtors on the board.
agricultural.
We don't have one person on our city council that owns 10 acres, not one. But maybe we can play that last clip.
Let's
We're
play the
getting
last
close,
clip.
and we'll clean up at the end.
Please resign.
Madam Chair, can I answer that question? Are you going to continue to let people on this council, this Charter Commission, basically,
He was asked for a resignation. He obviously refused.
I think he had to go home and ask if he could get permission. I know he's
His wife
been
doesn't want him to come anymore. That's why he's missed so many times. I think it's also very sneaky that he calls a special session of the city council when he knows, in fact, that the Charter Commission's meeting. But we're going to bring you more of this, folks.
Well, actually,
we want to also announce our candidacy so you guys know. And what we want to do is we want to get a charter in here that is a set of rules above the city council. Charters can be changed if there's necessary for them, but we want to keep the ordinances the way they were. We want to keep our comp plan. We want to stay rural. We do not want to sneak development in. And obviously, Tom Carr has his own agenda. He says one thing and does something else, folks, and we've documented right down the line. I mean, don't look at what he says, look at what he does. I mean, actions speak louder than words, and we're obviously...
And Loren, let's go back to the purpose of a charter commission. It's to establish a constitution. Our whole government is based on a checks and balance system. We have a House, we have a Senate, and we have an executive committee. If we put in a charter, we will be having our 3 bodies, and they're served by citizens that are representing our city, so we can't have 3 people running our city.
Yep, that's right. And we'll have an initiative, referendum, and recall should someone run amok.
We'll have public input again. We'll have citizen public comment. Folks, there's so many things that this charter will offer. Take the time, read it. Go to, if you want a copy, and this is just a draft copy, so it's not our finished product, but go to the GRP website, www.
It's down there.
grp.org.
Okay, thank you for joining us. and we look forward to having you with us next time.